So I'm delighted that you're here. We're going to get started. Today, one of the things we're really going to be focusing on is really getting those first steps in active classroom. We want to look at how you establish classes and how you register students. And then we're going to look at locating, selecting, saving, and assigning activities to your students. We're also going to look particularly at using the active reader function, which allows students to highlight in their reading sections. And then we're going to spend a little time for you exploring and creating some sample activity sets that you could save to your own Active Classroom account. So, as I said, I would like you to be on the Active Classroom screen. That is active.socialstudies.com. I am sharing my screen with you, but this is an interactive workshop, and I will be asking you to perform various aspects of the setup as we go through this. Although you can watch my screen anytime you need to, I hope to provide you with clear enough instructions that as you're on your own screen, I'll be able to walk you through this process. So everyone on the active.socialstudies.com screen, your login is your school email address, and your password, if you have not changed it or reset it, is the word password, all lowercase, one word. And we'll let everybody get there. I too am going to be logging into my teacher account with you. And I'll be going along with the directions as I give those to you. The first thing we want to do in getting started in Active Classroom is we want to go ahead and get your classes set up so that you can use this as early as tomorrow if you'd like. So I want everybody to look at your gray toolbar at the top of the page. It says Home, Content, Assignments, People. If you would, please click on People, Add Organized Students. Like I said, we are going to create your classes now. So it's on People, Add Organized Students. On this section, you want to come down to where it says Step 2, Add or Modify Classes, and we want to create a new student class. So we'll create New Student Class, that orange button. Now on your next page, you're prompted with a list of participants on the left, review your selection in the middle, and class data on the right. This is the only column we're going to work on at the moment. So we're going to name what is that class that you're going to create today. Is it first period, second period, third period? Is that how you think of your classes? First block, second block? Or do you think of them as maybe you teach a lot of different subjects, so maybe it's American History 1, World History 2. Let's name that class. And so for this one, I'm going to call it my webinar class. And to create my class, I hit the orange button that says Create Student Class. I got a well done. If you got an oops, it tells you what you did incorrectly. Once you've got that well done, you're prompted back to your previous page. You'll see that you have now created a class that is listed in that section underneath creating a new class. So like I said, I created a webinar class. You've created one now. Now, whether you teach 5 periods a day or 7 periods a day, let's go in there and create the rest of our classes. So we're going to repeat that process by clicking on New Student Class. Remember, I'm only concerned about that one blank at the moment. Second block, third block, fourth block. Hit your orange button and you've created your next class. I want you to go ahead and go through and create each of your classes. One of the things that I really love about Active Classroom is that we've tried very hard to make this a teacher-friendly product, and that's just how easy it is to create classes. Just a couple of clicks and the classes are created, and registering students is just about as easy. So as you're getting those classes created, working through this, I am looking forward to hearing from each of you and hearing that you are able to implement this product into your classroom this semester and get some good feedback from your students. Whether you teach 3 blocks or whether you teach 7 periods, creating your classes is an easy process in Active Classroom. Okay, so I've got someone here who hasn't yet registered in Active Classroom. If you don't yet have an account, you will need to just watch my screen today. However, if you have an account, again, it is going to be your email address from your school, and the password is password. That's your login information. So for that person who asked, you are registered and do you have an account. All you have to do is sign in with your school email address and the word password. Now, I know that puts you a little bit behind in terms of getting your classes created, but I recognize your name, and I don't think that's going to be a problem for you to not have classes created at this point. So I'm going to close my window now for that, and I'm back to my page where you do create classes. I want to show you now how easy it is to get your students registered for Active Classroom. I'm going to take just a moment here. There we go. I needed to close that. Okay. So to register your students, what we're going to look at first is how to self-register students, which is my favorite way because this means it's very little that has to be done on your part. If you'll look in your grade 2 bar, click on the word people and go to edit your profile. People, edit your profile. On your profile page, you can come back to this at any time and you can change your password if you have not yet done that. But we're going to scroll down till we see the kind of dark bluish gray bar that says Students Registration URL. If you take that URL there and give that to your students, they will enter that into their address bar and they will self-register for your class. The only thing they'll have to select is in which class they belong, whether it's first period, third period, fourth block, etc. So you're going to provide that link to your students and they'll be able to self-register. That is my favorite way to register students because it's really easy and it keeps you from having to enter 90 plus names of students. Now, there are other ways to register students. For instance, there are going to be times when a student comes into your class mid-semester and you're going to need to be able to add that student. And we would do that by going to People, Add Organized Students, People, Add Organized Students. And we're going to look at step 1 and we're going to go to Add User and we would enter just the information for that one student. So let's explore that just for a moment. And what we're going to do is we're actually let you create a student login for yourself. I always suggest that teachers be able to access their accounts as a student so that you can see exactly what they're seeing. So let's click on Add User. And we're going to add you as a student in your class. And the only different information that you have to include, you can use your own name. You don't have to change up a lot of different things. You can use the same password. The only thing you want to use differently here is a different email. Your work email is your teacher account. So on here, you'd want to use your Google or Yahoo or Hotmail, whatever you have, as your email address. So if you'll go ahead and put that information in, I'm going to just put in a fictitious character so that I can join in with you. I'm going to put in George Washington. And he's going to be G. Washington. So I've created my student. I've given him a false email, but it looks like an email. I've entered the words password as my password. Okay, let's see. Good. I saw a question there about Google, and I will come back to that and answer that for you in just a moment. Great questions. If you have any other questions, do send those to me. I'm going to click Save on that. I'm saving the student into my roster. And now we can go to People, Add Organized Students, back to your gray toolbar, People, add organized students. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put that student we just created into a class. Now, you will not have to do this unless you have a student who comes in mid-semester and now you need to add the student to an existing class. Otherwise, using that self-registration is absolutely the easiest and best way to go. But we do want to add that student that I just created, and I'm going to put them in my webinar class. You guys put them in your first period, whatever you want to put them in. We're going to do that by clicking on Edit. Now we have a list of students in that left-hand column, and I'm going to type in that student's name. When I do, then click Search, I get that student listed. And now I'm going to add that student to the class by clicking that check mark. And as you can see, it now populates in that center column. I want everyone to do that. Put in that name that you used to register yourself as a student. Click Search, and you should see that now in the middle column. And now we're just going to click Update Student Class, and my student is now in that particular class. Okay, so now we have created our classes, and you have also learned how to register your students. I want to send out a little poll to everyone. Let's just check and see how this is going. I'm sending you out a little query if you guys will respond to that. Hope all of you are getting your polling question. Okay. Oh, very interesting. Okay. I see that 80% of you did get your classes created, and there evidently were a couple of you out there who did not get to get your classes created. That's okay. If you'll just follow along with me, I'll be glad to help you with that towards the end of the webinar today. Okay? Whoops. Okay, so let's go on to our next step. And what we want to do next now is we want to, how do you locate and find those wonderful activity sets to share with your students? Let's see. Okay, go to Content in your gray toolbar, Content, and click on Find Activities. This is the page where you will live as a teacher. It's the best page in the whole program because this is where you get to select those wonderful resources that you do want to use with your students. We have lots of different ways for you to do searches in Active Classroom. And so I'm going to take you through a number of those different functions and let you play with those and see what they look like. One of my favorite activities in Active Classroom is called a Debating the Documents activity. So I want to show you one of those first. We're going to practice with that one, and the way we're going to find that is I do know the series title. So under Find Activities, let's go to Series Title, get that drop-down menu, and we want to go to Debating the Documents. I'm just going to choose a U.S. History, Debating the Documents U.S. History, and then I'm going to click my search button. You'll do the same. What you're going to get now is a list of all the different topics we have in that particular series alone. For U.S. History, we have roughly 3 pages. You scroll down like I've done, you've got about 3 pages of topics, and there are 20 topics per page. So roughly speaking, there are 60 topics in this particular series alone. I'm going to use the one in here called How Progressive Was Progressivism as my example. If you know how to switch the tabs on your screen and you want to minimize your screen and watch mine for a moment, you can follow along with me. If you have the U.S. history topics in your particular subscription, you can follow along that way. Now, some of you have world or geo or government, whatever you have. You can follow along with mine for now, and then we'll get to more direct topics related to yours in just a moment. So I'm scrolled down to how progressive was progressivism. I'm going to go over to the center column there where that little magnifying glass is, and it says View. I'm going to click on View, and it's going to open in a new window. This is one of my favorite activities because this is just so rich in what we want history students to be able to do. We want them to read like a historian, to be that historian, to be able to get in there and dig and investigate and come up with some possible conclusions. So in this particular topic, and in most of our others, there is a teacher's guide on the right-hand side of the page that also has a little black mark next to it, which means it's downloadable. So you can download and print this as well. So for this particular activity, we're going to go down to where it says Introductory Essay. The introductory essay is key to using this particular piece, debating the documents, because it's going to give the students that background knowledge they need in order to be able to work through this particular set of primary sources. Now, if you are in a digitally restricted environment and only have a computer and an LCD in your classroom, this is a great resource to use whole group instruction when kids don't have a one-to-one device. You can put it up on the screen. As a teacher, I would read this and go over it with them. It's not long, but it is a little more than a paragraph, so I would read that and share that with them. That's going to build that background knowledge. Now, on the left-hand side, again, we're going to click on the timeline, and this just sets the frame for when this particular situation, issue, etc. is occurring. It really sets that understanding of chronological exploration. Let's go into now our visual primary source documents 1 and 2. You'll see that when you've clicked on that, you now have those documents embedded in an orange border, and below that is information regarding each of those political cartoons. Again, those two pieces are important for the students to have in their background knowledge going into the political cartoons. Let's see, I believe I have, someone has a question here, so let me get to my questions real quickly and just see if we have anything. Okay, you can't see my window anymore. Let's see what we can do to fix that. Thank you for letting me know that. Okay, is that good? Are we got that now? Okay. All right, I think we got that. Great. Okay, so sorry guys, I do apologize that I didn't have that closed for you. Okay, good. We're good now. Wonderful. Okay, so I am looking now at those visual primary sources, and we want to open the box that they're in, and that's going to allow us to use some of our image examiner tools. So I have my image here, and this first one's already highlighted. This is my magnifying glass. I can now come over here. I can magnify various aspects to get a little bit better look at what's going on in this particular visual. I could click on that middle button on the right, which takes it to a whole screen version. So this is, again, really easy to use in your classroom where there's one computer and one LCD projector. I'm going to bring that back down, and now I'm going to come over here and click that quadrants button. Now I'm viewing just 1/4 of the cartoon at a time, giving a little bit more of a view where I can actually get in there and look at those details a little bit better. So go ahead and view that visual primary source and visual primary source 2, because this is going to be, this first exercise is looking at both 1 and 2. And then I'm going to answer these various questions here. We have main idea, background info, point of view. So one of the things you might want to think about here with debating the documents also is that when you're using debating the documents, you're really focusing a lot on those things that are included in the Common Core for social studies, language arts. We're looking at author's point of view and those kind of things. So it really does meet your needs there as well. Okay, let's go ahead and go down to our next one and look at visual primary sources 3 and 4. And we're going to do the same thing here. What you want to do is you want to look at these visual primary sources based on the information that's provided. Let's just get those on the big screen. Okay. And again, that magnifying glass. And look, I love this because you see just this very windy look with the clouds and the dust. But when you put that magnifying glass on there, now I can actually read, oh, that's prohibition. What does the bottle say? Injustice, intolerance, hypocrisy. And then I'm going to go down after having explored both of my visual primary sources. I'm going to scroll down and answer my questions. Again, looking at some main ideas, and here's an inference question. Now we're getting to what my favorite part of this is, because it's not only great that we've now looked at some visual primary sources and we've answered some great questions. That in alone is an excellent exercise. However, now we're going to go to comparing the documents. We're going to bring it up a level. We'll raise that bar a little bit, and we're going to say, okay, out of the two sets of primary source visuals that you just explored, which of those two would be most useful to a historian trying to understand the progressive movement of the early 1900s? I'm going to give you just a moment to look at those for yourself and decide, would you choose documents 1 and 2 or 3 and 4? Mary Donna. Mary Donna?
Yes.
Do you have a question?
No, I couldn't. I was the one who sent the message about the blue screen.
Okay.
But I can see it now.
Fantastic. Okay. Just wanted to unmute you there and check on that, make sure you were seeing what you needed.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay, so what would you choose? 1 and 2 or 3 and 4? It's not that one is more correct than the other. It's that the students now have to come in here in our comparison essay and say, I chose 1 and 2 because. Now they're going to have to justify their answer, cite evidence, prove to me why you chose what you chose. So we're really asking the students now to think more deeply about the primary sources. Now, they're not off the hook on the other two, because now they still have to say, I didn't choose documents 3 and 4, however, they're still important to a historian because they provide this, this, and this. Okay, so a fabulous exercise. Now, you're not done with that particular piece yet. That's half of it. Then you go down to the written primary source, and we're going to do it the same way. You've got your background information on each source. Then you have your primary source that's a written piece. You have questions to go along with it. And then you have a second piece, and then you're going to compare again. Now, one of the other parts that we have in this particular section says close reading analysis. You guys see that? Close reading analysis. On the close reading analysis, what we're doing is we're taking from the text above and giving just the bare bone of what the student needs to understand to answer the question. So if students are struggling readers, this close reading analysis is very helpful for them. Okay, so we would go to document 2. We're going to read document 2. We're going to go down and answer our questions. Then we're going to compare the documents now. We're comparing the written documents, 1 and 2, which is the most important to a historian trying to understand the progressive period. Now, taking them into writing their answers. And finally, now we're taking it into a 5-paragraph DBQ answer essay. So great way to prep them not only for just good historical understanding, but also getting them ready for those AP classes or even the AP exam. Okay, so that exercise there comes from debating the documents. Close that window if you would. Close that window. And now we're back to that page where you can look at and search primary sources based on various topics. I'm going to give you just a couple of seconds to run through that list and see if there's something that just really stands out to you that you're like, oh my gosh, I could use that tomorrow, or I could use that next week. I want you to find something that looks like that, something that you know, I want to use that. And if you find one that just really jumps out at you, I want you to pop that over to me in that question block and let me see what kind of answers you guys are coming up with. I'm going to take just one or two of your answers and share with the group, so you guys send those to me. All right, got some good ones coming in. Great. Wonderful. I see, yeah, those are great. Very good answers. Hi, Carrie. I see that you sit in Loyalists and Patriots. Awesome. So glad to hear that. Glad that you're on the phone conference or on the webinar with us today. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm seeing some really good answers there. Great selections. Wonderful. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to show you another way to search. So we're back on our section here under Content, Find Activities. Gray toolbar, Content, Find Activities. Let's click Reset. Anytime we want to start another search, it's good to click Reset because you just don't want anything to kind of glitch your search, keep you from getting the kind of response you really want. This time, let's use our Subject pull-down menu. Go to Subject. And since I used U.S. history a while ago, I'm going to use World History. And you'll notice that my themes for world history are different than if you're using U.S. history. I've got the 9 big eras to search from with world history, where some of you are using U.S. or government, etc. For your search. So do a subject search and then a theme. What theme or era is it I want to look in? I'm going to choose world history, period 6. And I'm just going to hit search. I'm just going to do a general search and see what all kinds of things come up. And if you scroll down to the very bottom of that page, you'll see that I've got 6 pages of answers to that query. There's 20 per page, so I have 120 different topics to choose from out of this particular era. So that's another way for us to search, is by using subject and era theme. Now let's bring that down to a little bit tighter search. Let's go still in that same page, but scroll back up to Find Activities. I've got my world history marked. I've got era 6. And now I'm going to do, I want to do something just related to, well, let's go do exploration, but that's a little broad. So I'm going to do Columbian exchange. That'll narrow that down just a little bit. And then I'm going to click search again. You guys pick something within your subject area and then click search. And now I have 5 lessons that are specifically tied to the Columbian exchange. So all of you should be able to create a similar query and get responses using subject, theme, and then keyword. Okay, let's go up and hit reset again. Let's do reset. And this time, I want you to click on this next little bar here that says correlate your search to standards. Correlate your search to standards, and just click that gray bar. And what's going to do, it's going to give you a drop-down menu. And you're going to choose the grade level that you're working with. And then, do you want to search by state course of study, standard, or Common Core skill standards. I'm going to do state content standards and click update. And now I'm going to be given a list of all of our Alabama State Course of Study standards. You in your different districts and states will have a similar list for your standards. You should have a list of all the standards that are related to that particular grade level. If you find, you can see that there is a bar at the end of your list of standards where you can change pages because there are probably multiple pages of standards. Choose any standard you want and just check the standard, or even 2 or 3 if you'd like. And as you're selecting the different standards, below under the heading lessons, you'll see now that it's being populated with all of the lessons that are tied to that particular course of study search. So everybody go ahead, try that out, find the state course of study target, click it, and then watch the bottom populate with those lessons that correlate to that particular course of study. Everybody getting that checked out? Okay. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to take a little look at that. Now, if you've checked a state standard, let's go back and let's uncheck it. Let's just uncheck it now. Because what we want to do is we want to do a new search. And this time we're going to go back up to where it says Find Activities. And go to just where it says Keywords. Just keywords. And we're going to put in a keyword for whatever search you might want to look for, such as I could put in Napoleon. If I put in just Napoleon, I'm going to get a result of about 40 different lessons tied specifically to Napoleon. Put in something that's specific to whatever content you teach, click that search button, and then scroll down to where it says lessons and see what kind of responses you came up with. Okay, I hope all of you have enjoyed taking a look at the search buttons, how we can search the many different ways. So what I want you to do now, click Reset again. We don't want anything to interfere with your search, so click Reset. And I want you to think about what you're teaching next week, whatever that is. You can use your keyword search. You can use the subject theme search. You can use the course of study search. But I want you now to go in and I want us to find 4 lessons for next week. 4 lessons, and we're going to just create a generic lesson for next week that we can play with for the next few minutes. Because one of the things I want to do is have you assign it digitally and also see how you can create that activity set and not assign it digitally, but still use it like in whole class instruction. Okay, so whatever search you want to do, the only requirement is you must include one reading activity. And a reading activity is going to be distinguishable by the icon next to it that looks like an open book. We have a lot of different reading opportunities in Active Classroom, and I will show you a little bit more about those in a moment. But for right now, I want you to find and search for about 4 different lessons. They'll be tied to something you're teaching next week, one of which has to be something related to reading. I'm going to do a search with you so that I can kind of keep on the same page you're on. Remember, I can do subject and theme. could do a keyword, or I could skip the keyword. We have a lot of videos in our collection. We have reading, we have primary sources, we have audios, web-based activities, pretty much any type of learning you want to provide to your students, we offer in Active Classroom. I started out with a search for U.S. history and American Revolution, and I found a video clip on the Battle of Lexington and Concord. So I think I'm going to kind of build my lesson around that early period there, just prior to the formal beginning of the American Revolution. You might want to go back up to your keyword and add in a little something extra and see if you can get some additional resources, or narrow your search so that you are a little more streamlined. To move once you've selected an activity that you want to include in your lesson for next week, you're going to click on the Select button so that when you're looking at your lessons, Select is on the far right side of that section. Click on that. It brings it over into the activity builder so that you are building basically your lesson plan for the week. We're building our lesson plan for next week. So you're going to find those 4 resources. Click Select. We're going to build that activity set on the right hand side. I'm finding a number of different activities related to my search. I found a video, a decision-making activity, which is one of my absolute favorites. I'll have to share with you guys later. I've got a reading activity. And then I also have a reading activity that's really based on the Common Core skills. But whether or not you're a Common Core state or not, the skills are still very good. So the skills in this particular activity will really benefit my students. Whether they're official Common Core or not, this is really going to benefit my students. So you want to find those 4 or so activities, put them in the activity builder, as you're moving your activities over to the activity builder. What we want to do is we want to name that activity lesson for next week. I have focused mine on Lexington and Concord, or Concord, sorry about that, Lexington and Concord. And I'm going to name my activity set just that, Lexington and Concord. And then assigning keywords. When you assign keywords, I really like to stay with things that are pretty generic, because if I assign too many keywords, I can't remember them all. So for keywords on lessons like this, I would probably put U.S. History 1 or American History, something of that nature, something that's going to tie it to the subject that I'm teaching, but yet not so tied to it that I have to go in there and go, oh, what was that lesson I had for next week? Was it American Revolution? Was it Lexington and Concord? So for my keyword, I'm just going to say American History. So you want to put in a title on your activity set and put in your keyword. Once you've got those 2 pieces put into your activity set, we're going to click Save. And I received a well done. You will either receive a well done or oops, there was a problem. If you have a oops, it will tell you what went wrong. That's what I really like about this. You don't have to go back and figure out, oh my gosh, what have I done incorrectly? It tells you. Maybe you need to change the name, or maybe it didn't include something. But it will tell you what it is you need to do to make that work. Okay, so I've done save, and I got a well done. I hope all of you guys have as well. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sign this out electronically. Now don't forget, I am going to share with you how to use this when you don't have that one-to-one environment. But for now, we want to do an assign electronically. So on those days when you do have the laptop lab, or you do get to take your kids to the computer, that you already have those classes created, you already have your students registered, and you're already able to assign those activities to them digitally. I'm going to go to here in this blue section where it says assign. Now I'm still on my activity builder, and I clicked save. I've gotten 3 prompts here. It says assign, manage, or build another. I'm going to click assign. If for some reason you've moved off of that activity builder, no worries. Go to the top of your page, click on assignments, and select assign activities, and you'll find that activity set there, and you can just click assign. There's like a little symbol that looks like a man. Click that. It clicks to assign. Okay, you should be prompted to a new window that says new assignment. Your assignment is already titled because this is the one we're working from. You can now assign this to individual students, groups of students, or classes. Now, I'm going to click over here to where it says classes, and I'm going to assign this to my 4th period class, and I've clicked that select, and now it's in the middle. Click who you want to assign it to, populates it in the middle of your screen. Then on the far right, you should see the title of your lesson, and you should see the annotation block. Now I want to give my students some directions. Now I want all of you to, for this practice session, give similar directions to what I'm going to give you so that you can see how this works, but then later you'll of course be able to assign and give students directions however you choose. I'm going to say highlight in your reading words. No, I'm going to say highlight in your reading content, important vocabulary, main idea, supporting evidence, and annotate in the margins your questions. Okay, so my annotation says highlight in your reading content, important vocabulary, main idea, supporting evidence, and annotate in the margins your questions. Everybody type something similar to that in your annotation section. Now, for some of the fun part, because I love this, I think it's so important that students be able to interact with text. So an active classroom, we're not saying, here's the student, here's a computer, spend your day there. We're saying we want you to interact with the text. We want you to interact with other students. We want you to interact with the teacher. Yes, you're going to be interacting with the computer, but it is just the format through which we're going to provide students an opportunity to engage many different ways. So I'm now going to click on grading type. I'm going to say percentage. That's just me. I'm a percentage person rather than letter. You can do either. And then click on the word highlights. When you click on highlights, you're given that students already are prompted with these generic choices. Now, I'm just strange. I don't like pastel colors. They annoy me. Some of you probably think that the pastels are easier on the eyes. We're all different. So the cool thing here is that we can make this custom to us, custom to our teaching styles and our students' learning styles. I'm just going to delete all of those available highlights by clicking the X. You guys do the same. And now we're going to add in the highlight name of the things we do want the kids to highlight. I said I wanted them to highlight content, important, vocabulary. Vocabulary is hugely important. Okay, and now where it says option 1 and it's in green, you've got a drop-down menu and you can choose the highlighting color of your choice. I'm going to choose gray and add highlight. You click add highlight, it should populate there and show you the color you've chosen and what it means. Go back to where it says highlight name. Let's change that. Put in your next one. Mine is main idea. Whatever you included in yours. Let's add that. I'm going to add my highlight. I'll do my third one. My third one was supporting evidence. Choose my highlighting color. Add my highlight. And I did an extra. I did annotate in the margins with your questions. So I'm just going to call this one questions. Give it a color. And add my highlight. When you've gotten your highlights added, click done. Now you don't see that on the screen you're on, but when the students get their assignment, it's going to tell them to use those highlighting features. The next part here says preserve lesson order. Do you want the students to do this in the order in which you listed the assignments, or does it matter? For now, I'd like you to leave that unchecked because we want to get to the reading today, whether we get to anything else or not. So leave the box unchecked. Let's go into the unlock date. You can create lessons as far in advance as you'd like and set the unlock date, and students cannot see those lessons until you have given them permission to see those lessons. Then when do you want this lesson returned to you? Put that in the due date and then click Save Assignment. When you click Save Assignment, you should now see that you have a link for that specific assignment. If you have Moodle or Canvas or you have your own website, etc., you can now put that link there and the students could actually go into your Moodle account, click on that link, and that's going to bring them into Active Classroom. Okay, let's close that window where it says assignments. You want to just close that X in the middle of the screen. And now that assignment has gone out to our student account. So I know we don't have much time left, but I want you to see how this works. So I will leave enough time at the end to tidy up a little bit, but let's for now log out. We'll log in now in that student account that you created a few minutes ago. What was that student account you created? Helps if you use the same passwords. That way you don't forget passwords. Remember, the only thing that needs to be different is your email account. When you sign in as a student, you should now see where it says recent activity. It says the assignment has been created by you, and it has a due date attached to it. So let's click on that orange part there, or you can click on the orange book at the beginning of that particular line. That's going to open our lesson. This lesson says in my annotation section, highlight your reading, and it tells me what I'm to highlight. And then I see the lessons that I'm supposed to complete. I'd like you to go down that screen and find the one that you selected that's a reading activity. Follow it over and click that launch button on the far right, the launch button. Correct. If you are saving the assignment, but you don't want to post it like on Moodle or something, yeah, you do not need the URL. That's only if you're posting it somewhere else. Good question. Thank you. Okay, you should now be in a reading section. And what we're going to do is we're going to practice how that highlighting looked. So I want you to just take your cursor and you're going to drag over a section. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not looking for a particular answer. I'm just highlighting right now to play with it. So I've highlighted some words with my cursor. Now I want to go to the right-hand side of the screen there, and you're going to see like a little house, a couple of A's. Go over to where you see the pencil and paper. And it says Add Annotations. Now it's going to give you a pop-up window with what you've highlighted, and you're going to select, was what you highlighted the main idea? Was it supporting evidence? Was it content, important vocabulary? What do you want to highlight it? Select that and click Save Changes. And now you'll see that the highlighting has occurred in your text. And on the right-hand side under Annotations, it now says main idea, supporting evidence, etc. based upon what you selected. Okay, play with your highlighting. Do a couple of pieces. Highlight a number of things, just trying out those different things that you put under highlighting. Again, you go to that pencil and paper. You're able to select the color highlighting that is appropriate for what you've selected. Do that a few times. We want to just add some highlighting to this so that we can see it when we're in the teacher mode. Okay, we're just going to give another second or two on that. You've added a few highlighting pieces. It shows up under your annotation now. When you get that completed, click Log Out. Now, go back into your active classroom in your teacher account. Remember, your school email is what we use for your teacher account. When you go back into your teacher account, last thing we're going to do for the moment is we're going to look at how you see those students' responses in our grading view. Okay, let's go to Assignments, Grade Toolbar, Assignments, go down to Grade, Edit, Link to Activities. Grade, Edit, Link to Activities. Assignments, Grade, Edit, Link. Now, you're going to see Assigned by Me, and you're going to scroll down to the one that you assigned, and you want to click on that A+. You want to grade this now. So let's click on that A+, and it's going to open it in our grading interface. When you get to the grading interface, you're going to see that on the left-hand side are your students. In the middle are the various assignments. And on the right, you'll see the assignment itself, questions, answers, student answers. The only one I did was the reading assignment, so I'm going to go to my reading assignment. If you just click on the reading assignment anywhere, it's going to come up on the right-hand side that there weren't any questions. I want you to click on the Launch button, and that's going to pull up the text that the student actually highlighted. That's going to pull up the text that the student actually highlighted. So you should see now the reading with the highlighting. Now, another really great part of this program, Active Classroom, is the ability to interact with the student via the computer, via the technology. If I want to go in here, I can now put my cursor on any of these highlighted pieces and click. I've got what the student highlighted. Then it says student's annotation. The student said content, important vocabulary. I just want to stay back to the student. Great call. Let them know, yes, that was some really important vocabulary. Now, you'll see when it goes back to the reading, over on the right-hand side, the student's work is still there, but now with the italic I, you can now see the comment the teacher has made back to the student, and when the student opens this assignment, the student will see your work, your comments back, just as if they had handed you a paper with it on there and you've given them feedback. The same type of environment, okay? I'm going to close that now, and I'm back on my grading interface. I'm really about out of time for today, but I've got you hopefully to the point where you can now do finding activities and creating that, that activity set. I want to go ahead and send out a polling question to you while I finish up this last part. So here comes your next polling question, and this is going to be an important part, is do you see in your gray toolbar where I have, in the gray toolbar, I have the word help. Help, the first 3 sections are videos based on the functionality of Active Classroom. And in the gray toolbar, programs in Active Classroom, I can now watch videos that are related to the different series titles within Active, such as Backwards Planning PowerPoints. You can also reach me. And also, right above that gray section, but before you get to the videos about functionality, you'll see that we have help@socialstudies.com. help@socialstudies.com. You can always send your inquiries there as well. So I would like all of you to also be aware that you are going to get an evaluation at the end of our session today when you get ready to close out the webinar. You'll be prompted to fill out the evaluation. Please do it. Please send me back some information so that I know how well this worked for you guys today. I'll be honest, this has been my first webinar to do on Active Classroom getting started, so I'm very excited about today, very excited about hearing from you if the pace was appropriate and if you feel like you were able to follow along sufficiently. So please do give me that feedback. For those of you who are using one computer and one LCD projector, rather than assigning those activities digitally, you might want to just provide them in whole class instruction. To do that, go to your gray toolbar, click on Assignments, gray toolbar, click on Assignments, and go to Assign Activities. And what you're going to do is you're just going to use that View button. Instead of assigning it, you're going to use the View button and open it up and use it straight from your computer and LCD with the students. I'll be glad to answer any additional questions you guys might have. You can send those to me through the question tab on the webinar now. I see that many of you are completing the polling question. Great. It looks like the majority of you do know where to go for help. Again, the gray tab at the top of the Active Classroom page, help@socialstudies.com, help@socialstudies.com. Contact me. So you have digital, you have online support, and you have me. I hope that we can get you connected to Active Classroom in a way where you feel like you are comfortable and confident in utilizing it in your classroom. There will be another webinar in 2 weeks. You'll be getting information on that. Thank you so much for being with me today, and I look forward to being able to read your evaluations and work with you further. Thanks again. Have a great day.